Hey, what's going on everybody? My name is Chris and welcome to LinuxTechGeek. And in today's video, I wanted to discuss 3 things that I think that new Gentoo users, they just don't grasp. A lot of people say that Gentoo is a very difficult distro to kind of learn like the nuances. And I personally disagree. I think it's very straightforward. But there's 3 things that you need to understand in order to kind of master the Gentoo system, so to speak. It's not a binary system, it is a source based distro. And there are a couple of things that if you don't understand, you're not going to have a very good time. So in this video, I want to go over those 3 things and yeah, let's get started. All right, so the first thing, let's talk about use flags. Let me pull up a terminal here. Now, I've made a video before on the channel going over use flags, but we're going to go over it again for the sake of completeness in this video. But check out that video as well if you're still having a little trouble. So what are use flags? What do they do? Well, like I said, this is a source-based distribution, which means that it's not binary based. With the binary based distro, when you install a package, you install every single feature in that package. Meaning when you install a web browser, you have every single thing enabled. The same thing with like with Emacs or whatever. Everything that Emacs can possibly do, you have that feature built in. With a source-based distribution, you can customize that stuff. You can tell the operating system, hey, I don't need this certain feature built in to this program. I'm not going to use it. So why build it in? Why make that program big, or why take a lot of compile time if I'm not going to use that feature, right? So let me demonstrate a couple of different programs here. So we're going to demonstrate a very easy program. This is Lynx. If you guys don't know what Lynx is a web browser. It can be a graphical web browser, but it can also be just a console or a terminal-based web browser. So if we look right here, so all I did is I have the EIX program installed and I do EIX Lynx. Now, if we look at www-clients Lynx right here, you will see these use flags. So there's X, which is going to give us like an X support, right, for that program. And there's free type, GPM, like that's console mouse support. There's JPEG support, lib event, and all of these different use flags. Now, I know what you're saying. If you're a new Gentoo user, how the hell do you know what each program needs, right? Well, there's a couple of different ways you can do this. Number one, you can hop on the wiki. You can search Gentoo Lynx if you wanted to right now, and it would tell you all the use flags. And I think they have a web page dedicated to all the use flags. Or you can get a program called EUSYS. Not EUSE, EUSYS, because I think there's 2 different ones. Now, what this program does is you can type in any use flag that you want, and it will tell you what it does. For instance, I don't know what this brought LI does. I don't know what it does. I've never heard of it. So it's EUSYS brought LI. Right here. It's a compression right here. It tells you at the very bottom right here, enable brought LI compression support. Okay. What about if we wanted to look at GPM? I know what GPM is, but it uses GPM. adds support for console-based mouse driver. Simple enough, right? We'll do one more here. Lib event. Lib event. If it has it down here, sometimes it. Event handler. Okay, so that's simple enough. It's just an event handler. Sometimes you may have to go through it, or you may have to Google one or two things. The e-uses program is not perfect by any means, but it gives you a good idea of what each use flag is. Okay, so I'm saying all this. Let's go ahead and let's install links. Okay, this is without any use flags whatsoever that I personally enabled. And we're going to see what it enables by default. I'll deinstall it, and then I'll enable the use flags that I would personally use, and we can see kind of like the difference, right? So let's go ahead and su into root. I don't do sudo. I probably should, but I don't even think I have it installed. If I can type my root password, right? Okay. So we do emerge. That /AV, what that is that's ask, and then the V is for verbose. So we'll do www.client here, and then we can do links. Okay. So everything in red where it says use equal whatever, everything that is in red, that's what's going to be installed by default. Everything that's in blue and that has that minus sign right here, just like this, that's everything that it's not, like that's all the features that's not going to be enabled by default when you install this package. Let me go ahead and zoom in here. Okay, that's probably a little bit better for you guys. All right, would you like to merge this package? Yes, I would. So we're going to go ahead and let emerge do its job. Now I did enable parallel downloads, so it should be a little bit faster here. Okay, links is installed. Fantastic, right? So if we look at our, we can do EIX links again. Let me throw that on a different different thing right there, workspace. So if we do EIX links, we can see the installed version. So we have the installed version. We also have what's the what use flags we have enabled. Well, we don't have X enabled, right? Because we didn't install it with X. That's fine. Let me find my, I got like a million tabs. I'm still trying to learn how Qtile does like its tab management system, so please bear with me on that, because I'm gonna constantly kind of screw it up here. All right, so we got links, right? So if we just type in links, okay, links works. But remember what I said, links is also a graphical user web browser, right? The way you do that with links is we do links -G. Use the -G flag. Oh, graphics is not enabled when compiling. That's because we didn't enable that when we installed the package, right? Because if you remember, the use flag, we didn't have X enabled in the use flag. Okay. You can also see some of the other things that links can do here. We're not going to go over, this is not a links video. I just wanted to kind of demonstrate that for you. Okay. So how do we remove it and then reinstall it with these use flags that we actually want enabled, right? Because that's what we actually want to do. So let me shrink that a little bit here. Get back in root. So we're going to do emerge, deselect client links. Emerge that do AV that clean. It should get yeah. All right, so you can see links is going to be removed. So we let this unemerge. All right, fantastic. So we do EIX links again. All right, so let's go ahead and make links compile with X support, and then I'll show you the difference. Okay, so the way we do this is there is a file in etc portage. Now there's two. There's two. There's etc portage.make. Okay. This is a global file, which means that everything on the system respects this file, all its global use flags, right? And you can kind of see, like, I got X support, PNG, GIF, JPEG 2K, JPEG, network manager, disk kernel, whatever, right? I have a couple of things, but I don't have a lot of things. I don't like to convolute my make configuration file. I kind of like to do every program separately. That way, I can have more control and I don't have to have a big make configuration. I think, let's see if I have it. All right, so we cd into etc portage. Okay, now the make configuration, that's your global file, but we can do it per package as well. And the directory is called package.use. Okay, so we can do package.use. And I think the reason that it did not compile X support with links is because I already have a file in here. So if we do cat links, you see what I did? I've already told the package.use folder. I've already told emerge, hey, when you install links, don't install it with X support. We don't want it, right? Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of it. We don't care, right? So I'm just gonna remove it. Now I could go in there and I could remake it and I could enable every feature that links possibly has. In fact, we might even do that. So we can do links. Do we want? Tell you what. Let's do we'll do X, and then we'll also do one that we don't have support for, GPM, right? So let's do touch links. Links. I think it was client links, and then what did I say? GPM. Okay. So now that I have GPM support, we can also put X right here, but remember we have X in our make configuration file, so we don't technically have to put it here because links is going to, or emerge is going to respect our make configuration file first. All right. So we wrote and quit that. Now, if we emerge AV client, and you don't have to do the www client / every single time, but some of these file names are, some of these like directories are kind of named, or some of the programs are kind of named the same thing. So this just tells the system, hey, this is the one that we want to install. I hope that makes sense. But regardless, emerge AV www client links. Now look. There we go. So now it's because we told the system, hey, add GPM support. It's going to pull in that GPM module, right? Also, we just told the system, hey, we want X support for this program. So we hit yes. Okay. Now, I don't know how big GPM is. GPM looks very small, so this shouldn't take that long to compile. And once this compiles, not only are we going to have mouse support, but we're also going to have graphics support with the with this web browser. Now, the reason I don't have it enabled by default with this web browser, let's be real, if I'm in X, I'm probably using Firefox or Brave or something like that. I'm not using links inside of a graphical user interface. Excuse me. So we can do links. Remember I said links minus G, right? Because that's to pull up graphics. And look at that. We now have a graphical user interface with our web browser. And remember, we also have GPM support. So what's GPM support? Well, GPM support is mouse support. Now, like I said, in X, it doesn't make sense. Who cares, right? But when you're in console or just a terminal and you don't have X, this may be very good because you can actually use your mouse to do a little bit of navigation instead of using like the arrow keys constantly and stuff. So that's something. So I hope use flags. I hope you kind of understand what use flags are. Like I said, watch my use flags video if you are getting a little stuck and something doesn't click. And also use the get the uses program. That way you can quickly look and see what each use flags is. Like the JPEG, so you can see right here. If I typed in JPEG, add JPEG image supports, and then JPEG 2K it's just a bigger JPEG support. So I hope that makes sense for you guys. Let me know in the comments if it doesn't, and maybe I'll figure out another video to try and explain it a little bit better. All right, now let's go to concept number 2. This one's kind of a big one because a lot of people think that Gentoo is a rolling release. However, the maintainers and everything, they block certain packages that they feel that hasn't been tested, or if it's like in testing and everything, they don't want you installing it for fear of, I guess, bricking your system. Now, there's ways around it, and I'm going to kind of show you this. I'm pretty sure this is what this means, but if someone actually knows 100%, feel free to leave me a comment down below. So every once in a while, you may go to install a program. So we're going to install something called WesTerm. WesTerm is another terminal emulator. A lot of YouTubers have been making videos regarding this terminal emulator here lately. So let's go ahead and try to install that, and we'll see what it says. Oh, here we go. All e-bills that can satisfy WesTerm have been masked. Okay? Have been masked. Now, like I said, I'm pretty sure the masking has to do with testing and everything. But we can still get around this. We can still install this software. We just have to do another step. And this is this is an actual thing that took me a little bit. I got the use flag thing down pretty quickly when I started with Gentoo, but this one took me a long time to just, you know, for it to sink in, I guess. Okay, so what we need to do, it's saying right here, it's telling us exactly what to do. What we need to do is copy this, right? Now we don't need to copy the : Gentoo. So we can copy all this. And I can write that X later. And we need to go user or etc portage. Okay. Now there's a package dot accept keywords directory. Okay, if it's not a directory, it might be a file. I personally like making all of these directories. I'm pretty sure there's also a way that you can make the package.accept keywords an actual file. Same with the package.use, but I personally like directories. It just makes it a little bit easier for my brain to comprehend. So let's cd into that. So we do accept keywords. Okay, and you can see I have a couple of them here. So let's do touch West term, right? Bring them into West term. And now let's go ahead and paste that. Like I said, I do need to put the X there. And now what we need to do is we need to put the tilde sign, AMD 64. We right and quit that. Merge AV West term. And you're making a liar out of me. You're making a liar out of me. All right, let me figure out what maybe I don't need the numbers. Yeah, there it goes. So I'll show you another thing here in a second. Okay, but as you can see, I got rid of the version numbers, and it is obviously going to let me install that piece of software. And you can do this with any blocked packages or masked packages that you want. You can even do this with dependencies. Every once in a while, you'll go to merge a package and it'll be like, well, this package is, or this dependency is masked by this package or whatever, right? All you need to do is just unmask whatever file or whatever dependency that you need to unmask. And once you unmask it, it should let you install it. But I want to show you another thing too that I think is pretty cool with Gentoo. As soon as this gets done installing here. West term is West term right there. Well, I've already installed West term before. That's why I was saying 0 KB. But I'm pretty sure that was kind of a big program. So let's go ahead and let's get into root again here. I don't want to make this video super long, but we go to etc portage package.accept keywords. All right, this is my kernel, right? I use the dist kernel, and you can see right here, you can see how I have a greater than or an equal sign, right? And then I have the version of the kernel. Now, you can also tell the system, and this works with this works with the use flags as well. You can also tell the system if there is an update to this package, meaning if there is an update to this kernel, keep the AMD 64 keyword in there, right? Because I don't want to have to keep doing this on every single update. Now, the way this works though is if you use the greater than or equal sign next to the package, you have to have the version in there as well. Okay, so that's why you see me have the version right here, 6.8. Okay, it won't work. The greater than or equal sign will not work if you don't have the version in there. We can also look at another file here. I'm pretty sure I did it with OBS. I did do it with OBS. So you can see this is saying anything greater than or equal to OBS Studio 29.0.0 or 0.0/R1, make sure we unmask it. And that's all that is. All the software that I use that I have to unmask like once that I know I'm going to continue to use, like OBS and kernels and stuff like that, I'll always put the greater than or equal sign there and the version, just so I don't have to deal with it. But like I said, you can also do that with the package.use. Okay, so you can see, did I do it with this? Yes, I did. Okay, so I did it with GCC. All right, I had to enable a feature in GCC called the JIT, or just-in-time compiler. This was something I had to do with Emacs. Okay, so all this is saying is anything greater than or equal to sysdevelopment/GCC 12.2.1 enable just-in-time compiler. Okay, and same thing with PyCom, I think, right? So I wanted OpenGL support with PyCom. I think I did that with Qtile. Right there. Oh, here's another cool thing that you can do too. Now, I know you might be thinking, well, if I have a lot of dependencies, I'm going to have to write out a lot of files, right? Because no, you don't. You don't have to make a lot of like little tweaks depending on every dependency. As you can see right here with Qtile, right? So this, let me go ahead and clear your screen here. Let's get rid of this one. Okay, cat Qtile. Now, as you can see on this one, greater than or equal to the Qtile version that I'm running, which is 0.22.1. Okay, I wanted pulse audio support, which means that anytime I ever upgrade Qtile, we're gonna have pulse audio support. But I also needed a dependency called Cario, right? So I put my Cario thing in here too, my Cario dependency. So we put X, glib, OpenGL, SVG. And I just noticed that I got it twice in here. Oh yeah, I did have it twice because I forgot that I put it in there, and I needed Aqua support for Cario as well. But you can mix and match. You can kind of do what I did and have, I don't know, I guess I got like what, 20 different files right there, depending on which package I installed. Or you can, like, if you're going to install Qtile and a dependency and you want to enable certain features on a certain dependency, you can also write that all in one file, similar to what I did with Qtile right there. Did I do it with any other thing? Oh yeah, here we go. So with XFCE, I do have XFCE on this system as well. Really don't use it. I need to actually uninstall it, but that's besides the point. But you can see, sometimes you'll see stuff like this, is a package, blah, 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 is required by whatever, right? Is required by all of this. And So the only thing I did is I just wrote the dependency in the XFCE4 file here. This was going to be a visual reminder to myself that, hey, all of these dependencies, or XFCE4 needs all of these dependencies. And so that's kind of why I did it right there. But you can see I got the Thunar, and I wanted UDisk support and GFS UDisk support. So I hope that makes sense for you guys. Let me know if it doesn't, and I'll try and make another video going over that. But it's kind of weird to get your head around, but once you start understanding it, I think it becomes super easy. And this is why I really, really, really like Gentoo, is because I have control. I don't need to worry about what the operating system's maintainers, what packages they put in and everything. And I just have total control of all the features and everything like that. The third and final thing that I want to talk about, okay, going over and understanding Gentoo. I see a lot of comments here lately that says, Gentoo takes forever in a day to install software. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. It takes a little bit longer than a binary distro does, but you get more control. So you have to sacrifice. Do you want less control, or do you want more control? If you get more control, yes, it's going to take a little bit longer. If you want less control, then no, it's not going to take that long, okay? And I want to show you I want to show you what you might be messing up on when installing Gentoo, and the reason you think it takes forever in a day to install software. And it's simple. And when you use the guide, the handbook, you might have just skipped over it because it looked complicated, or because you didn't think you needed it. But you do. You really, really do. This is the most important thing in Gentoo. Arguably. All right. So we go to etc portage. We're going to neobim into our make.configuration file. Two things. Excuse me. These common flags right here. So minus March equals native. This is going to tell GCC, which is the compiler, okay, to use your native processor stuff, okay? Processors have built-in, they have built-in flags, right? They have built-in stuff. In fact, I can go ahead and let me get another tab open here, okay? And I'll show you mine. Right here. So if I use this program right here, CPU ID to CPU flags, you can see all of the CPU flags that my processor, the one I have in my machine right now, has. Okay? Now, I don't know what half of this means. I really don't. There's a big list that you can look it up. But the main point is, you want to tell GCC, let me find it. Yeah, you want to tell GCC to use all of those features built into your processor. Okay? And if you do minus March equals native right beside the 02/pipe, okay, it will do that. Now, there's also a web page that you can go to, and you can look at your exact model of your CPU, and you can put your exact model of CPU. But if you're kind of lazy, you can use the March equals native, and it's practically the same thing. Okay? The next step, and this is probably even bigger than the other one. Okay? MAKE.CONF. What does MAKE.CONF do? MAKE.CONF allows you to do parallel compilations. Let me repeat that. Parallel compilations, okay? This is the reason why when you go to compile software on Gentoo, it's taking you an hour and a half to 4 hours to compile one thing. This is the reason. Most CPUs these days, or most newer PCs, I should say, have more than one core, okay? I mean, this computer alone has, I got 12 cores, 24 threads, okay? Now, this is a beefy machine, but you get the idea. Even if you're running a 2-core system, you could tell MAKE.CONF, hey, use both of those cores when you compile software, right? If you're on a quad core, use 3 of them at least, right? Now, there's also kind of a price to using this feature. So in the Gentoo handbook, it says that for every core that you enable, you need 2 gigs of RAM. And that is because it uses a lot of resources when you're doing parallel compilations, right? You're giving GCC, the compiler, almost everything in your system, which means that, yes, it does take away from other things like browsing the web and stuff like that, right? You can still do that, but you will start to see a little bit of lag depending on your system. So, like I said, this is a 12-core, 24-thread PC. So what I told the compiler to do, I said, hey, give it 10 cores when you install software. I think on my laptop, laptop's a 12-core system or 6-core system. I think I gave it 4, right? So kind of use your brain a little bit. Look at how much specs that you have on your PC. Okay, I have 32 gigs of RAM too. It uses 2 gigs of RAM per core, which means that if I gave it 10 cores, it's going to use 20 gigs of RAM whenever I compile software, which is fine. 20 gigs is, I mean, I got 32 of them. I can give it 20, you know, anytime it needs it to compile software. But this is probably the single most thing that I see people complain about in Gentoo is it takes forever. No, well, it does if you don't do this. Yeah, it's going to take forever because you're only using 1 core. Most computers have more than 1 core. So take advantage of that. Use it, okay? And the way you do that is you just say MAKE.CONF, okay, equals, and then minus J, and then the number of cores you want to give it. And that's it. And now, that being said, there are a number of programs that will still take a lot longer than most, okay? Firefox, a web browser. If you compile a web browser from source, it's going to take a long time, okay? And it doesn't matter how many cores you give it. It's a damn web browser. Like, it's huge, right? So just use common sense, like, hey, you know, or LibreOffice. Some of you guys use Office suites, right? I don't use them, but I know some of you guys do. If you're gonna install a Office suite, or if you're gonna install a web browser, see if there's a binary package for it first, okay? I do recommend you using binary packages when you're gonna install big software, like a web browser or an Office suite or something like that. But for everything else, it really doesn't take that long. A couple of things, my Qt will. I know Qt does because Qt is pretty big. Rust, for some reason, Rust can kind of take a little bit of time. LLVM takes a little bit, and then I think GTK takes a little bit too. But those are big like libraries, right? Those ain't just your, you know, standard run-of-the-mill NeoVim, Alacrity, shit like that, you know. But yeah, just play around with it, see what feels right. And if you want parallel downloads, you can use this variable right here. It's called emerge default ops. Okay, and you can say minus jobs, and then you can give it jobs. So what this is pretty much saying is, hey, I'm going to give you 5 parallel downloads. So not only do I have parallel downloading, but also have parallel compilations. So installing software just doesn't take as long as people make it out to be. All right. I think that is about it I wanted to cover in today's video. I do want to thank you guys for watching. I do want to thank you guys for subscribing. It means a lot to me. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. I'll definitely get back to you guys. I try to answer each and every one of you guys. So until next time, you guys take care, be safe, and peace.